Hello?
How are you?
Oh, hello. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks. My name's Rob. What's your name?
Oh, Rob, my name is David. Nice to meet you, Rob.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm from New York. Where are you from, David?
I'm from South Korea. You said you're from New York?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Oh, it's very interesting. I mean, New York is the place I want to visit one day. Yeah, as far as I know, it's one of the popular city in USA, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Certainly, it's like a really good tourist destination. So yeah, I hope someday you get the opportunity to travel to New York.
Yeah, well, I also too. I especially want to visit Times Square. Yeah, my dad told me about Times Square, and I also checked on Google, and yeah, it will look pretty cool. So yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Times Square is cool. I've you know passed through Times Square plenty of times, but yeah, like especially for a tourist who's never been there, it's a pretty interesting place to be. It's got a lot of energy and yeah, it's really cool like being there and just seeing like the buildings surrounding you.
That's right, and also there are like tons of people and a lot of
Yeah.
restaurants right on the street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So like aside from just the buildings, yeah, like the cars and the people and uh yeah, like it can get very, very crowded there, but actually in kind of a cool way most of the time.
Oh, yeah, that sounds very interesting. Yeah, I would really like to go there and meet a lot of Americans and also try their food, like American food. I mean, I like trying other countries' food because they're always new and interesting. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like my
Yeah.
next destination is gonna be how do I say New York.
Yeah, yeah, cool. If you go to New York, like you should definitely try like the bagels. Um,
Bagels?
yeah, bagels are really good in New York. Like New Yorkers take pride in the bagels. Like we're very very proud of our bagels. So yeah, for like breakfast, definitely like try the bagels. And then like at some point of course you have to try like the pizza because the
Oh,
pizza's
I mean, they're all
pretty.
my favorites. Like foods. I love. Bagel is one of my favorite breads. Like especially like blueberry bagels is one of my favorite.
Really.
And
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it sounds like yeah, you guys are really proud of your bagel, which means yeah, it should be delicious. So yeah, I would like to try it. I also like pizza a lot. Like
Yeah,
I can eat pizza every day. Like I'm a yeah, I love
yeah.
pizza. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that would be good.
Yeah, that was me at like one point in my life. When I was like younger, yeah, I could eat like pizza like every day. And then I went through like a stretch of maybe like a year or two where like almost stopped eating pizza completely because I kind of got tired of it. But now I really like it again. So I have it like, once a week or once every 2 weeks now. So I'm kind of like, you know, trying to balance it out, with the other food that I eat. But yeah, pizza's really good, and um, like New York City has like tons of good pizza places. Um, so yeah, you shouldn't have like too much difficulty like finding a good place to eat. Like there's plenty of options.
Yeah, it sounds like yeah, it is a really nice city, especially for me. For someone who likes pizza and
Yeah.
bagels. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's like perfect for you. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, so I mean, that's cool. Um, like is there any other like reason why like you wanted to go to New York? Like was it because like you mentioned Times Square and like the food, like was there any other like reason that you had for wanting to go to New York?
I'm pretty sure that's all. Like also like it's because it is well known. It is a well known place, right? Like my dad always mentioned New York when we were talking about United States because it is the most popular place. So, but yeah, I guess that's all. Like I guess
Yeah.
those are enough. Or
Yeah.
maybe yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe like before I visit there, I can have some research, I can have more research and get to know more and visit. Yeah, but currently, yeah, that's all, I guess.
Yeah, 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 totally. No, those are great reasons. So, uh, yeah, hopefully, like you could do that like on your next vacation, or at least sometime soon. Hopefully, you could go to New York. Um, yeah, there's a lot of tourists in New York now. Like, and it's cool to see because like during the COVID years, um, like it was a little bit different in New York. Like, there weren't as many tourists, because people weren't like traveling as much.
Ah,
So it was kind of like quiet. Like it wasn't really quiet. Like that would be kind of a bad way of describing New York, but it was quieter than like what it
before.
is usually like. Yeah. Um so like now it's like busy again, which is cool. Like, I mean, it can be like a bit difficult if you're trying to like if you're trying to like get somewhere, and maybe like it's a little bit too crowded and it kind of slows you down. But overall, I think it's nice to see like a lot of tourists back in New York. It feels right.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah, like a nice city. Yeah. And yeah, and well, actually, I want to know more. I want to know more about New York. So maybe, and you said you're from New York, right? So maybe you could tell me some famous things, more famous things that I don't know about New York. So
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I'm from so like I live very close to New York City. So I'm from Long Island, New York, which is it's in New York State, and it's like right next to New York City. Um and actually part of New York City is on Long Island. So like I'm pretty close to New York City. I've been there like plenty of times. Um but yeah, I mean like the main part of New York City is Manhattan. Like that's where Times Square is, and it's where the Empire State Building is.
Ah,
Like like that's by far the most famous part. So I mean, like if you go to Manhattan, um, like I would definitely recommend, like walking around a little bit. Um, like because most of the areas in Manhattan are pretty safe. So like it's a good part of the city to like walk around in.
ah.
And you also have Central Park. So I mean, if you were a tourist, you'd have to go to Central Park. Like that's a definite. Central Park is really cool.
Oh yeah, Central Park. Well, I've actually heard of Central Park's people. I mean, I speak to tutors from New York, and some tutor told me about Central Park, and now it rings a bell. Yeah, Central Park. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone says Central Park is very famous, huh? And they always said if you visit New York, you must visit Central Park. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And yeah, I think I've also seen Empire State Building like on YouTube. And there's a movie that I don't know the name, I don't know the title, but there's a scene that a gorilla, is climbing the Empire State Building. Yeah, that is the scene I remember. But well, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, this was very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes me want to visit, New York more, like
yeah,
more. Yes. So yeah, thanks for telling me.
yeah. I mean, like the Empire State Building's, it's cool, and like if you can, like at least go near it, like at night, that's even cooler because they light it up like different colors. So, um,
Oh,
like yeah, it's actually really cool, like to see it lit up. I mean, like I've seen it lit up, plenty of times, but um, like it actually never really gets old. It's still pretty cool every time I see it. Um, so like that's a good idea. Um, some people go like to the top of the Empire State Building. The only thing there is that like you kind of have to pay like a lot of money to do that. I think it's like over $100 to go to the top,
wow, that's
which
expensive.
yeah, I mean like the thing is that actually like I would probably just recommend like if you wanted to go like sort of like to the top of a building, like I would say there'd be like other options that could be like pretty much just as cool as going to the Empire State Building, but like a lot less expensive. Um, I don't really remember what building it was, but I remember my uncle took me into the city like several years ago, and like we went to like the rooftop of a skyscraper, and it was pretty cool. Like it was really cool to see the view of the city from like the top of a building, and like it wasn't. I forget if it was free or like we had to pay like a little bit of money, but anyway, like it was nothing like it wasn't like $100. So yeah, I would try to find like another like building where you could like go to the top, you know.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Like there are, yeah, I know like New York is really big, so there must be tons of high buildings, right? Maybe
Oh
you
yeah.
can go other buildings instead of Empire State because it's, as you said, it costs like $100, which is really expensive. So yeah, and I think I can see the beautiful United States at the another building. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like so yeah, so that would be like a recommendation, and I'll put this like in the chat too, like the specific name of the area, but it's like there's like sort of an area of Manhattan called the High Line. Um,
highlight.
yeah, like well, actually, I'll be a little bit more specific. Uh, yeah, so like the High Line in Manhattan, it's it's sort of just like an urban trail. So like if you go like how like if you go to the woods or you go to like the mountains, sometimes they have like trails where you can like kind of like walk on a path. Um this is like sort of like that, but it's like in like an urban environment, because it's in Manhattan. And yeah, I did this also with my uncle like several years ago, and it was really, really cool. I mean, I thought there were a lot of great views of New York City, like by going uh, on the High Line. Um, really, really cool. Like at that point, like I had been to the city many times, so like, I was pretty used to the city, but I have to say, like, going to the High Line was definitely like a different perspective on New York City. Like, I definitely got to see like New York City from angles that I hadn't really seen before, and it was really cool. So I mean, like, if you have like a camera or just your phone, like your phone's camera, like that would be like a great place to take pictures of New York City. Um, Also, I did see like a lot of tourists like at the High Line when I went, so I think it's pretty popular with tourists as well.
Oh, very interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I always take phone whenever I go to some, famous place or like, high place, like where I can take, beautiful pictures. So, yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds very interesting. Well, thank you for telling me this. Like, yeah, I'll check this out with on Google maybe after the class or yeah, when I have time. Like
yeah,
highlight. Okay,
totally. And we were talking about food before too.
that's right.
So like I mentioned like bagels and pizza. Like of course those are like popular here, but um, in Brooklyn, New York, which is like right next to Manhattan. It's like like basically New York City, is five boroughs, and like boroughs are like basically like sections of the city. So like Manhattan is the most famous, and then like Brooklyn's the second most famous borough. Um, and the Brooklyn Bridge is really cool. You've probably heard of that before. But yeah, Brooklyn
Oh,
Bridge is really cool.
yeah, I've never heard of that yet. Yeah, I need to check that out. Like,
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's like really, really popular, like for tourists or just for anyone, because it's it like connects Manhattan to Brooklyn, and like it's pretty cool. Like you can walk over the bridge, um, and yeah, it's just like it's a great place like to get photos. Um, I haven't been like to the Brooklyn Bridge in like many, many years. Like it's been a long time. I don't even remember how old I was like when I was last at the Brooklyn Bridge, but